dough, fresh out the oven, ready to run. What's hot this week at Jeff's Bagel Run? Jeff and Aaron bring the fun. It's the weekly run, let's get it. The weekly run from Jeff's Bagel Run.
Welcome to the Weekly Run. I'm Jeff,
And I'm Aaron.
and this week we're going to explore what's hot at Jeff's Bagel Run. How you
What
doing,
is
Aaron?
hot? I'm
What's
doing
hot?
great. I want to know what's hot today.
What's hot today?
I'm ready.
Well, you're ready for what's hot? The Bagel Boom is hot. It is on fire, Aaron.
I didn't even know there was a bagel boom going on.
Well,
I know what we're doing, but I didn't know this was a thing. You got to tell me more.
it's a thing.
Tell me and the
and-
listeners what a bagel boom is.
So first, let me give you a little history, okay? So probably like the 1960s. Yes, I'm going back to the 1900s. But back in the 1960s, 1970s, bagels were not really readily available. They were primarily a neighborhood bakery type item. And then distribution to grocery stores began. You have Lender's Bagels, you've got Thomas's Bagels. So, I don't know, like bread aisle bagels, right?
I was going to say, that's like bread aisle stuff. Like
Yeah.
just straight to the grocery store, sits next to your Wonder Bread.
Correct. So bagels sort of become more of a household product at that point. If you fast forward to 1990s, maybe the late 80s, you have this first push of businesses coming into the market that are businesses you've heard of. Bruegger's Bagels, Manhattan Bagel. You have Einstein and Noah's joining the party. And I think that's like the second wave. And this is where the bagel business is trying to replicate what those neighborhood shops had been doing.
More of a
with-
cafe experience
Yeah,
versus
correct.
the grocery store. Like this
Correct.
is a stock item. Okay.
Exactly. You've got the expansion of these businesses all over. So that, we all know how that has worked out, right? So they don't really operate a lot of stores anymore.
Well, and it's
And-
interesting too because it seems like their menu selection is very noticeably evolved and like kind of purposely, diversified into. I know for like Einstein's as an example, obviously they lean very heavily into breakfast sandwiches, which they kind of always did, but they do that. But then they have a whole lunch menu, or basically just treating bagels as sandwich bread, and just it seems, and I feel like over the last 4 or 5 years, 6 years, that's really gotten like their menus have gotten huge.
There's been some ups and downs, right? I mean, Einstein's had a bankruptcy filing in the early 2000s. There's been multiple ownership changes. And I think there was some probably overexpansion, quality of certain products, specifically the bagel, I think diminished as they moved into more of a commissary, frozen, distributed product. That's then
But that's a pretty common model for sort of this wave too that you're saying, right? Because I know that I
Yeah.
believe Panera does a very similar model. Sort of the large bakery model tends to be commissary,
100%.
some par
And-
baking and stuff like that.
And a lot of that frozen product baking is taking place because they're trying to drive consistency.
Yeah,
Um,
at scale, which
That's the
they did fast.
that's the stated goal.
Yeah.
Stated goal is to drive consistency. I think there's been plenty of documented conversations around that with these, business leaders. But I think what happens is you end up eroding a little bit of quality in those products. That sort of leads us into this next wave of a bagel boom. It's kind of been happening since we started. I think maybe it was a COVID era related boom. There's a few bagel businesses out there that have started, and some that have shown back up as a resurgent brand in the marketplace as we move into now. So 2019, 2020, and beyond, see Jeff's Bagel Run started 2019 in my home kitchen, and we've moved through this process in a way where we think scratch is scalable. And we believe that through great processes and great quality product, we'll be able to grow our business. We're scaling in a different way. And so
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, what's interesting about that too is I think a bit of it's a mindset shift in just the way, just the marketplace. right? And you think about what
Mhm.
consumers, and we know this from our own customers and sort of how we're approaching the market is, I think it was a general attitude of like, I don't want to wait, even if it, even if the product suffers. And I feel like culturally, I think that people want things, they're willing to wait a little bit. Not to say they have to wait, or that certainly we don't try to make them wait, but the mentality is shifted to say, I'd rather have a handmade product than I would something that was designed systematically to be fast. And so, yeah, that's great.
Yes.
You bake them in house, they're scratch made, they're fresh. That's something that I think is really resonating with customers. And so it really kind of de-incentivizes that other model.
I think it puts a emphasis on meeting customers where they're at. I think to your point, that value prop in the last boom was about speed and efficiency, and that
And
was
consistency, like you said,
and yeah, for sure,
repeatability.
consistency, yeah,
Yeah.
repeatability, and that's because maybe there wasn't the tools and resources available to scale like we've been scaling yeah, in a scratch way. There's a lot more tools and resources. We've got more technology available to us to help us with planning and prep. We've got more uh, physical machines to do work. There's a lot of things that are different than there was in the 1990s.
Well,
And that was a long time ago, Aaron.
no, it was yesterday. It was yesterday.
Just yesterday. I was a baby then.
Oh my God.
Oh, high school.
No, I know, right. And I agree with you. I think it's definitely things have changed, and I think it's probably the combination of that, right? The fact that the the consumer interests have changed. I think in some ways they could have done it differently back then, but that's not how we did things. Like everything in that time period was mass efficiency and scale, and
Yeah.
like there's just the way we built things, and that's what I kind of found with this is, you would think, and I imagine this is probably a lot of what you and Danielle encountered when you kind of first started. Is like, oh my goodness, are we really going to do this? Like nobody does this. Are we really going to do this? And then you start doing it, like this isn't that hard actually. Now scaling it requires systems and all that, so they make it repeatable across franchisees. But like running this operation, scratch made in store, it's not materially harder than doing it the other way. It's a different set of problems. But like, I want somebody that's going to make dough, work with dough, understand it, understand the craft of producing this food item, and it just sort of shifts the focus. But it doesn't. I don't think in total it's any harder. It's just different.
I agree. That's really well stated. The things that were valuable then to consumers to businesses are different than the things that are valuable to consumers and businesses today. And that means that something has to change, right? All of this sort of stems from this story that was written recently in the New York Times. I think it's interesting to talk about this because we got a bit of a mention in there. I mean,
Which is cool.
which
I
is like
mean,
a big deal. I'm not like, it's a pretty big deal to have been asked to be a part of a story about, you know, bagel business growing in, this era or this period of time of bagels. And the New York Times is, one of the biggest publications out there. So it's feels good to be in the conversation.
and worth
And
noting, it's not a it. What I found cool about it is it's not a food review. This isn't this wasn't like a restaurant review sort of article. It was actually talking about kind of what you're talking about, which is this current excitement and sort of just this wave, this third wave, as you're saying, of sort of bagels. So it's kind of a business article, which I thought was cool and
it really
interesting.
was.
We're
No, it was great. It was really nice to talk about the business in a way that wasn't specifically about the food. And one of the things that I thought was super interesting in the conversation I was having with the reporter was what we're doing is unique. She told me as much that no one else is doing this. Scratch made in every shop every day. I think that's a huge differentiator. I think it's also scalable because, I think the conventional wisdom really is that like you can't run a profitable business, selling, $2 bagels and spreads the way we're doing it. But we are.
I think that's a seeing is believing sort of thing. That's why I always like when we get to meet prospective franchisees that come in store. and they sort of see it all. And you can always, like, even if they've heard it before, you can see that they see the end to end process. They see
Mhm.
the dough production, they see the, the spreads made, in shop, and you can kind of just see them be like, wow, you really did. Wow, you weren't lying. You really do it all here, and they see
Yeah.
the lack of a freezer and they don't see the big truck pull up with the next day's rack of bagels to be thrown in the freezer and to bake the next day, or, the shrink wrap spreads that get broken open and then put into the front display for serving. Like, they don't see any of that stuff. They see people making it. It's a mini home kitchen. You're visiting this little cafe that is home kitchen style. Somebody's in the back making bagels. It was fresh today. They'll be fresh tomorrow.
Mm.
And that's kind of a great feel. And it works. I maybe I wouldn't believe it if I was skeptical of it first before seeing it, but, like, I see it every day. It works. It's not hard.
I think it really connects to that consumer sentiment where people are, I think we're different. And I think we as a species changed a little bit during the COVID-19 lockdown period of time while we were kind of had stay-at-home orders and travel around the world stopped and global business came to a halt, and we all sort of took an inventory a little differently and we're like, what's important to us? I think a lot of people have said what's important to me is I'm going to eat from a place that produces food locally. I'm going to do this thing because it makes me feel good versus doing that thing. I think that shift took place, and it may not be as quantifiable as some other things that are out there, like a market or a
Yeah.
specific trend, but it's I think it's there. I really do. I think it's there.
What what do you think this 3rd wave is gonna entail? Now you have to put
Yeah.
your your bagel prediction hat on. Like,
Mm.
it's happening. There's some other players in our space. It's not just us making up this stuff over in the corner. Like, how does this play out? What do you think this looks like?
What I think is what I think is really going to be interesting is the bagel is showing up almost as a platform.
Okay. What do you
And
mean by that?
so we're able to build a brand around a bagel. Bagel's a commodity item, but as a platform to launch this brand and to share how we feel about our guests by bringing joy and building community around them, it gives us an opportunity to do something that's a little bit different than what that second wave of bakeries did. And this is honestly, I think, what some of our contemporaries are doing. They're working alongside and they're using that bagel as a platform to
Yeah.
deliver something that they believe in. And when I think of some of the brands at play, some of them are bringing like a lot of fun and energy into the breakfast space. Literal like DJs and dance parties, you know, in their shops. I think there's some that are bringing nostalgia back in a way that's that's really meaningful to people. Brands that were popular in the 70s have been reignited, and are trying to push their story forward. And I think that is more about the bagel being a platform for that storytelling than it is about the bagel being something that, we weren't going to eat anyway.
I think that's interesting that you say that in the point you make, because I think of my own consumerism and just how I like to shop, where I like to spend my money. I'll lean towards a brand or an experience that I like, even if it's small. I'm grabbing and I'm going, but I just like that experience. I like the way the place makes me feel. I like the food. I like all things equal. I will lean that way, and I'll sort of like have that discerning choice of picking a brand, picking an experience that kind of does that, which is so small. I don't even know that's something that you really key into, but you do it
So there,
subconsciously almost.
there's two examples I'll give you real quick, and I don't know if this will even make sense to anybody who's out there, but last week we had the Masters tournament, and there is a small, high-end golf apparel brand called Malbon, Malbon. You ever heard of them?
No.
Have you ever heard of like TaylorMade, Callaway?
Yes.
Yeah, you know those
Those I
brands,
have
right?
heard about.
Those you heard of, right? Malbon you've not heard of. Malbon hosted a house in Augusta, and they said, "Come." check out our brand. Come hang out. Very much the way like a streetwear brand or a sportswear brand would do. They had their athletes, their golfers were there. They had a couple hosted dinners. You could come in and you could look at merchandise, you could buy stuff. And a few of their athletes that were playing in the tournament wore the clothes. And they created this moment around the Masters that was like, this isn't about something that's not accessible. We want you to come. Here's an open house. Come check out who we are. If you're excited or down with the way we do things, this isn't about golf. This is
Yeah,
about us creating this community, right? They almost are using golf as a platform to
yeah.
talk about the way they like things, right? So Malbon's an example. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, I promise you, just search Malbon House Augusta on any of your social platforms and you will find tons of content around it. It's very cool. The other thing that happened last week that I think was really neat was we had the first weekend at Coachella. And I don't know if you know this or not, Aaron, but Justin Bieber performed for the first time,
He didn't though.
but he
I read
did.
about this.
He didn't, but he did. And so what's interesting about Biebs, and I'm a believer, so
Oh
I'm
man, how many
sorry.
references are you gonna cram into this little
I'm gonna
3-minute moment?
jam it in there.
Man,
But
I'm learning some things about you, Jeff. I'm not sure if I'm ready for.
Justin Bieber performed for the first time in I don't know how many years. If you're not up to speed on kind of what's going on in Justin's life, he sold his entire catalog. And if he performs songs from his catalog, he has to pay the royalties, right? Or whatever on those songs. But if it's public domain, he doesn't have to. So he went to Coachella and he sat on stage with his laptop and he went back and he played some of his old YouTube videos and had like a sing along with all of his fans. And in that moment, he wasn't the product, he was the platform. And
Interesting.
he delivered on this experience for people who love Justin Bieber and love live music. And if you counter that to like what Sabrina Carpenter did at the same weekend, full stage show, dancing, lights, the whole like pyrotechnics, the whole thing, different experience, different person. But I think Malbon and Justin Bieber are like the bagel.
So in that, extrapolating that a little bit, because that's interesting. I hadn't really thought of that. Um, but I would expect nothing less than this level of bagel philosophy from you, Jeff. I feel like this is what happens in your mind every
And
day, all day, and just we're just getting a peek. We're just getting a
tiny
little
little peek.
keyhole glimpse into the madness that's going on in there. But I guess a parallel that comes to mind as you sort of walk through that is thinking about sort of us and the way that we approach things. Again, if you're kind of thinking the bagel as that vehicle, I think that's maybe why we've had so much fun with bagel of the day, the flavor profiles, the spreads get crazy. I mean, I will say our marketing team and our menu and restaurant team, like I've never seen more LTOs come out of a single year. Like we literally do LTOs like a multinational. It's crazy, but like it's because we have all this space to enjoy and be like, here's who we are. We like these things. We do these things. We like these flavors. We like these events. We put so much time into something like Bagel Madness for nothing other than we think it's fun. So I see what you're saying now, as far as like, hey, we're building on the experience is so much more than this sort of commodity item of a plain bagel.
Yes, the bagel is the platform that we've built on, and it goes beyond that bagel. The experience in the store, the experience that you have engaging in Bagel Madness or the app or, you know, the bagel of the day is an everyday LTO.
It's true that we actively
And
curate and rotate.
these are different LTO. This is like there's a lot of QSR brands that have some type of limited time offer happening every day in their stores, 365. But a lot of times it's like the same item for like a 3-month run, right? We
Yeah,
have a different curated LTO every day in our shop. Kind of unheard of.
it's wild.
It's also an incredible pain point for my wife because I still got to work out June and it's April
Oh
15th.
man, this is
I
as close.
know.
You
I am
say that
cutting it
though.
close. I'm
I
cutting
mean,
it so close.
you say that though, and I laugh because I remember the early days when that thing came out. It was advanced notice if it was 2 weeks ahead of when. I've
Yeah,
seen some bagel calendars drop on
I know.
Friday for Sunday. I mean, now granted, 3 stores in which we owned all of them, easy.
Yeah,
It's not a lot
different.
of,
Yeah,
but it's just
I'm.
crazy to think being 3 months in advance is less than you're within the quarter. Oh, no.
I know. So June is like half baked, pun intended. But I'm
As
probably
it
gonna
should be.
fit. I'm gonna finish June and then I'm gonna skip and I'm gonna work backwards now for the rest of the year from like December into July. We have a holiday photo shoot coming up in 2 weeks. We're already got the holiday LTO prepped. So
Now wait a second, where are we doing this photo shoot? Because last time that you had, media creation around new bagels, I got to sit there and just get the
okay.
cast-offs of, 100 bagels,
Yeah,
so it
yeah.
was
It's
pretty
at
good. So
the.
just you let me know where I need to, hover.
I'm pretty sure it's at the office. I could check my
Excellent.
calendar. I'll let you
I'll
know.
make
I'll
sure
I'll
that'll
let
be
you
an
know.
office day for me.
Yeah, office day for you. Um. Anyway, I'm glad we got to have a little conversation. I gave you a little peek behind the curtain of what goes on in my brain. But the bagel boom is definitely real. It's definitely happening. I mean, the New York Times is writing about it. Big business is investing in it. There's there's something happening here, and I think it's really great to be a part of it. It's exciting because all these things are happening so fast along so many parallel like tracks. Because I'm again not home. I'm in Nolensville, Tennessee, opening store number 34. Next week we'll be opening store number 35 while we're
At
in
least
Phoenix.
35's in our backyard.
We won't even be there for it.
Oh,
Well,
that's
we'll
true.
we'll be back for grand opening. We'll miss the first half of the
Just in
training
time.
week. We'll be there for the good part.
I'm curious your thought on this. I think what's uniquely different about this one is that us and our contemporaries at the moment, it's actually about the bagel. Something that was pretty clear about the second wave is it was more about this generic breakfast. We didn't celebrate the bagel. It was just a breakfast item and then immediately quickly expanded into egg sandwiches and all this other, sort of derivative stuff. But I feel like us and our contemporaries right now are like, no, it's the bagel. Just eat the bagel. It's bagel and spread. And consumers want to go someplace where somebody specializes in something. You I don't know if you've seen these pop up. Look, I walked into a kebab the other day. And I don't know if you walked into one of those Korean style, I guess,
Yeah,
hot dogs.
yeah.
They had 5 menu items and they were wild. So, one of those 5 SKUs is a hot dog covered in fruity pebbles, basically. And so, I don't know what the applicability of that is to a broader menu audience, you know what I mean? But they don't care. They're like, there's enough people that want something done well and
Yes.
unique, and we're gonna go for it. And I respect that. And I think that's a hallmark about what's happening in food right now across the board. Is a big reason why this is happening in bagels. My 2 cents on it.
I agree with that too, and I just had this crazy thought. Is this like the TikTokification of consumerism?
Micro
Like,
micro
okay, I
dosing
guess
almost. I just
no,
want
no,
this
no,
one
no,
thing.
like the TikTokification of the
I'm not
internet.
familiar with that verb,
Okay,
Jeff.
so
You'll have to
uh,
define.
I'll define what I mean by the TikTokification. So the
I'm with it,
TikTokification
but
of the internet is I can get onto TikTok and I can scroll and the algorithm will feed me the things that I'm interested in.
okay.
So I'm flipping through, I'm scrolling, I'm watching short videos, some longer format now, up to even 3 or 5 minute videos people can post on TikTok. So you're getting some longer format, some quick stuff, but all in vertical format as you're scrolling through. And the algorithm knows what I want to see. It shows me bagel videos, it shows me golf, it shows me cats. Like it's also showing me a little bit of Dungeon Crawler Call right now because I'm on book 5 and it's great. And that's what the internet is showing me. It's kind of like I pick my channels on a TV. Like I'm
Yeah.
going through the clicker and picking my
Curated.
channels. Curated. People are curating their consumerism. They're
Okay.
TikTokifying
Now I'm with you.
where they eat. They're gonna go get a a Korean hot dog. They're gonna go get a bagel at Jeff's. They're gonna swing through and pick up the donut at the specialty donut shop. They're gonna make sure that they hit the farmer's market on Saturday to get sourdough from whoever because they make the best sourdough. Like, I think people are willing to do that. They're taking a little bit of that extra time to find that one thing that they really like, and they'll they'll pay for it with their time or their money to make sure that they can get the thing they want, which I think is really an interesting way to look at it. I don't know. Just popped in my brain when you said it.
I
So
like that. And I learned a new word today. It's on my
tick
word of the day
the
calendar.
TikTokification. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm just again, I'm really glad we're a part of this conversation. Um,
Same.
being
I think
in
it's
the
cool.
being in the New York Times, getting quoted in the New York Times that's pretty cool. I don't know. That's never happened to me before.
Listen, we have, I mean, on the bucket list of things that,
I mean, I wasn't on my bingo card this year.
wait a minute, you haven't been featured by the New York Times? Ugh, I've had like 7. I mean,
Oh,
it gets
Aaron.
tired at some point. You just get tired of, they
Yeah.
call and you're like, not
Tired.
again.
Tired of the quotes. Again, sure, I got one for you. I got one, yeah. Okay, I do have 2 other things I wanna make sure we squeeze in really quick before we
Yeah.
wrap today. One, we got a big pickleball match next week.
Wow, it is
It's
here.
next week, it's finally here, we've been talking about it forever.
Oh my God.
Can't wait to
We just
report
got,
back.
we just got an email about it
I know, like,
today.
where to report,
Got,
what we have to do. I
yeah, it
know,
got
like,
me all.
I got a little nervous.
Well, see, okay. So I got a little nervous. I got a little excited too because I was really, like we talked about before, I was questioning the dubious nature of the competitive. Like, was this competition, like, is it light? Is it friendly? The email read competitive. I think I saw prizes in there. Like, there was some, at least accolades, which is the only prize I need.
That's all I need.
Um, so it got me a little hyped. I still find it absolutely hilarious that we have no idea if we're gonna like play each other, be on the same team? Is it doubles? I mean, it's pickleball is always doubles, right? There's no singles pickleball.
I don't know.
We don't know anything. Listen,
Well,
the
I'm gonna
best
ask
part,
ChatGPT right now. Keep
you
talking,
should.
yeah.
The best
Mm,
part is going to be Katrina essentially just telling us the entire time that we don't know what we're doing, which
I
is
mean,
true. Don't get me wrong. That is true facts, but that's what I'm looking forward to.
it's, oh,
What's the
oh,
internet
oh.
say?
Absolutely, you can play singles.
There is singles. So it,
Maybe
for all of our luck, we're gonna go in with these big dreams, and then they'll do this big randomized bracket, and then you and I will do the first game against each other, and one of us will get knocked out, and
one
then
thing's
the other person will get knocked out the next round. That'll be the sad part. I want doubles, Jeff. I want the full weight and power of JBR felt at the tournament.
you gotta study up, man. There's, like, rules around what side you serve from depending on what the score is. It's crazy. Can't go
Listen,
in the kitchen. You're a
that
smart
seems.
you're a smart guy, though. You'll figure it out real fast.
Listen, I got a whole 4-hour flight
You'll
to figure it out.
study up. The pickleball happens next week. We will be best dressed regardless. I have no doubt in my mind we'll be the best dressed. But whether we play
I
well
got
or
another
not,
accessory for us. I'll share it with you when we get there.
oh, I can't wait. I'm so hyped. Okay.
Came today.
And and yeah, because I'm an unmedicated ADHD animal, I just completely forgot what my second point was because I was like, I got 2 things for you. One of them, and then the second, I don't know.
I didn't do you any favors. I interrupted you like 7 times. So,
Man, I also woke up at like 3 a.m. to go bake today. So what are you gonna do?
soft opening, new store was good.
Nolensville, Tennessee. Yeah, great soft opening.
Store looked great on our walkthrough, our virtual walkthrough.
Store's awesome. It's really cool. It's got an awesome outdoor patio. It's in an up and coming plaza. Lots of guests today. Really, really great conversations with a lot of people. Excited we're here. Um, I'm excited for this one. This one's gonna be really good. I think each one just keeps getting better, Aaron. The more momentum we build, the better these openings get. The more excitement around them. It's really fun.
And this one is a little unique. Well, I should say unique because it seems to happen more and more. But this franchisee actually got their first exposure to Jeff's at another franchisee's opening almost a year earlier
Yeah.
and saw it. And then you spoke with a handful more perspectives today at this opening. So I love the idea that at some point we can trace back a franchisee a year from now. It's gonna be like this 3 openings up the chain, but
Yeah.
it's such a cool experience to see a new store come together and a team gel and a new community get to sort of experience and see what we're about. And I don't know that whole little moment is special.
No doubt. No doubt. And I'm really happy for Eric, franchisee up here in Nolensville. He's working side by side with his son, which is really cool. And it's just great. It's great to see the community show up and be happy about the bagel shop. It's really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll be here for a couple more days and then off to Arizona to play pickleball with you. And we're doing some other stuff I got there too, right? I guess there's a conference, but
I think there's a conference there. I'll look into it.
I'm
I'm
pretty
not
sure
really.
I'm pretty sure it's
It's
just a pickleball
It's
tournament.
really secondary to the pickleball tournament.
100%. 100%.
We need to take over unders on who or both are going to be injured and the severity of the injury.
Okay, I have him under strict instruction to not be injured. I
From
follow the
who?
rule. Who do you think? Danielle. I'm not allowed to get injured.
This is
She's
true.
like, you're needed. I'm
Listen,
like,
I'm a desk guy, so like as long as I keep all
Ugh.
the injuries like waist down, I'm fine.
all right. So, over under on injury. I don't want to take that bet because that just feels too morbid. But I can promise you my shoulder will probably be sore and my knees will hurt on Tuesday after
Great.
the tournament.
Rand, when we go in to roll some bagels.
Right? I know. Yeah. Oh, that's right. We have the activation there. We're serving bagels at the show. It's going to be great. Are you going to
That's
help
right.
me roll dough?
I've never hand rolled a bagel, so I can't wait to report back on that too.
That'll
I'm
be
going to
fun.
get a baking
It's,
tutorial.
it's going to be great. Baking crash course for Aaron and the team. It's going to be so fun. I'm looking forward to it. Well, I really enjoyed this chat today, Aaron. It's always a good time. Bake fresh, bring joy, build community, and we'll talk again next week. Bye.
Yo, fresh out the oven, ready to run. What's hot this week at Just Bagel Run? Jeff and Aaron bring the fun. It's the weekly run, let's get it. The weekly run.